All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of the Daniel Chia Show. Thank you for joining me. And I see there are friends who are watching from all around the world. So thank you so much. I hope you guys are having a good day so far. And yeah, just going to jump into the YouTube chat. And thank you so much for those, especially if you're here for the first time. My name is Daniel Chia, and I'm a saxophonist from Singapore. And, just really, really happy to be playing music for you guys and also featuring some of my favorite saxophonists from around the world. And if you are here, you would already know today we have a very special guest, Michael Lington. Man, he's been one of my favorite saxophonist for such a long time, so I'm really excited to have him here. We will chat about him and his music, and he will feature a few songs for you guys as well. So thank you so much for being here. If you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos coming up, and I already have a lot of videos up on my channel, so you can check that out after the show as well. So friends who are watching on Facebook, nice to see you. You can click on the link above and join us in the YouTube chat over here. So the funny thing is it's really, really early here in Singapore. This is the earliest show I have done probably. So it's 8 a.m. right now in Singapore. So I won't be doing so much playing at the start. Usually I'll start off the show with playing a few songs, but I live in an apartment and I don't want to upset the neighbors. So we'll start off with the interview and feature Michael first, and then after that I will play some tunes for you guys. So really, really thankful to be here, despite everything that has been happening around the world. And the crazy thing is I think despite many horrible things that have been happening and people are suffering for sure, but I think there's been many amazing things that has happened and that has allowed us to connect throughout the world and make our world feel a lot smaller through technology, through video conferencing. So the fact that you guys are here on the show, it's just amazing, because me being in this part of the world, in Asia, connecting to you guys in the US and in Europe and in other parts of Asia as well, it's just really, really amazing. And we chose to stream this live on YouTube and Facebook, and it lives on YouTube, so other people who can't watch live with us, they still get to watch this video for a long time to come and be able to hear from Michael and hear his music as well. So Without delaying this, any further, I think now might be a good time to bring on my very, very special guest. Let me get this ready. Okay, give me a minute. Can't seem to unmute Michael now. Okay. There we go. All right. So I'm very, very happy to welcome my special guest, Mr. Michael Lington, all the way from the US to join our show here. So welcome, Michael. Give me a minute. All right. Michael, can you hear me?
I am hearing you.
All right, now we hear you loud and clear.
Yeah,
Hi, Michael.
yeah.
How is it going
I
over there?
it's wonderful. Yeah, I could hear you the whole time. But
All
anyway,
right.
so I do apologize for the early show time. I
No
understand it's
worries.
8 o'clock in the morning. Um, you know, 2 years ago, it wouldn't really have been a problem doing it later. But since I have a newborn son, um,
Yes.
everything has completely changed. You know, the schedules, what we have to do as a family,
Yeah.
what happens, and it's no longer like you. I used to live in an apartment too, where playing was an issue at
Yeah.
certain times or at any time really. But somehow I was always lucky to find neighbors that loves the saxophone, and some of
Wow.
them were even familiar with my music. So
Wow.
for them, it was like a private concert every day. So they were like, "We love
Wow.
it." Where I'm thinking they're gonna come and yell at me for making noise. They're like, "Oh my God, play some more. We love it." So
That's
this time
amazing.
around, I live in a house, so that's not really a problem now. You know, we got family time. Everybody is
Mm.
quarantined, and everybody is home every day,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so there's a lot of adjustments that has to be made.
For sure, yes, and I got to meet your newborn. So cute, in our previous call before this, and man, it must be really exciting times. But I can imagine, the change of lifestyle, and
Yeah.
for sure everything changes. No, it's
It,
great. I'm
People
happy.
that have kids know the challenges. I mean, there's a lot of amazing things and beauty about that experience, but it's certainly he's the boss, or the kid is the boss, because they dictate what time you get up, what time you go to
Yeah,
sleep, when you're gonna wake
yeah,
up again, when you need to feed,
man.
all of that stuff. Yeah.
Man, maybe I could just jump in and start off here. Was this gonna change your touring plans already? Even without COVID, but I know if a newborn, was that gonna affect your live
No.
performance?
No,
Okay.
we're lucky in a way that we already have put in place that to get a nanny that are
Okay.
here, and then uh, my fiance Carrie was gonna when I usually travel on the weekend, so I'd leave on
Mm,
a Friday morning or maybe a
mm,
Thursday and come back on a Sunday evening,
mm.
Sunday afternoon. So um, it wasn't really going to change it. The only thing is I did take some time off to
Okay.
about a month before he arrived. He was
Okay.
born on February 10th, and then my
Mm,
first show after that was March 13th, which I did do, but that was the
mm,
last show.
mm.
So I took some time off. I took end of January to February to March 13th off, and then I had a full schedule. Not only did I have shows every weekend, but I had 2 trips to Europe just in the first
Wow.
couple of months. 2 week-and-a-half trips, and of course everything's canceled. Everything was postponed. So.
Wow.
Didn't happen, or it didn't happen at that time, at least. Yeah.
But I'm sure the blessing now would also be, being able to get this time back, to spend with family, and yeah, I'm sure things have, affected so many people, not just musicians and artists, but you were one of the first people that I saw, was instantly into the live streaming of your shows, and getting the rig really, really good. So how did that
That's
happen? Was it immediate? You just realized it and you're like, let's get.
it's an interesting question,
Mm,
and I have very interesting story about the whole thing. So I've had a studio at my house for many years. I think I've had a studio at my house since probably the early 2000s. Some incarnation of a studio, right? Where there was just a production setup, writing setup, a drum machine, whatever it was, and it has grown over time. But as far as being able to record here, even though that I do all my records now in other studios, I use my studio more as a radio studio, if you will, like doing radio liners and spots and also doing editing of things and whatever. Just sometimes I have to fix something, sometimes I have to record something for somebody else. I mean, there's a lot of things, but my records are now made in full recording studios. But to get back to how I got into the streaming and why so quickly. So this didn't even, how about this? March 12th, I didn't even think about streaming. As a matter of fact, the only thing I'd ever done streaming really, well, I've never really done streaming. The only thing I'd really done broadcasting was maybe it was at a sound check live. I'd take my iPhone out and go Facebook Live. That's it. I didn't know about interfaces. I didn't know what worked, I've done little videos at my studio going, hey, come and see me on the next show, blah, 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 whatever. I just use the audio off the phone. And I kid around with this, but it's actually the truth. I'm embarrassed to say, but it's actually the truth. On March 12th, and the reason I'm saying that date, because March 13th was a significant day, and I'll explain that. But March 12th, I did not know the difference between upload and download stream. So that tells you IT-wise where I was at. Now, in a recording studio, I've been told by some of the greatest engineers I have very good ears. So I understand about EQ, I understand about placement and spatial, I understand about microphone technique and mic placing, and I mean, there's a lot of things like that I understand. So I've always had a studio, even when I was in my 20s living in Denmark, I had a studio, was a partner in a studio. So I understand all of that. However, March 13th, I did a show in Arizona. This is already when the buzz was happening with the coronavirus. And very reluctantly, I went to Arizona to do that show because I had, at this point, I had a 1-month-old. And I didn't know how bad this disease is or this sickness is. And so last thing I wanted to do was go and do a gig and bring it back to him or to my family, right? So I was very concerned, very uneasy about going. I decided on the way there, I was wearing gloves. I was wearing a mask in the plane. This was kind of before people were really doing that, I wasn't touching anything. I was at the airport. I mean, it was just kind of crazy. And I'm sitting in my hotel room on the 13th before the show, maybe early that day. And that's when the president of the United States had a press conference and basically called this not just a national sickness or pandemic. Well, I guess what's the epidemic, but it was actually a pandemic all over the world, right? And first of all, I wasn't even sure if they're going to shut the airlines down or could get back and all of that stuff. But I sat in my hotel room going, this is going to be my last gig for an unforeseeable future. What happens now? Because this is what I do. I'd already taken 2 months off. So I was getting ready to go back. This is what I do. This is how I get it's my artistic outlet. It's how I really communicate with people, is to being on stage and being at my shows. So I came back, and I came back that next day, the 14th, and I walked into my studio and I sat there by myself and thought about, I need to figure out a way to incorporate my studio into the whole live streaming, because I knew the sound-wise, at one moment I was thinking about maybe I could just put the iPhone up and then play music through my speakers and then just kind of play acoustically with it, but I realized that that's not really, it's too hard to control the levels and it wouldn't sound right. And so I had an old unit interface unit that I used to use years ago. I mean, I'm talking about 10 years ago. My drummer used it to run tracks out of a laptop. So instead of using the audio output out of the laptop, there was a USB, it was a Lexicon USB interface that had just, you know, 2 quarter-inch out, whatever, USB into the computer. I'm thinking, wait a minute, that could work. And I plugged that in and put my studio through it, and it sounded horrible. I mean, I did a test on Facebook, and I don't know, I didn't even understand what was happening, but it was just, that's not going to work. And then a friend told me about this, a friend told me about that. I tried my Apollo, my studio interface. That didn't work for Facebook. That sounded horrible too, and I didn't really understand what was happening. So I spent that whole week and the next week, probably 5-6 hours a day, trying different interfaces, rewiring stuff, testing this and that, and then all suddenly, I arrived at a place where my stuff started sounding really good, and now I am getting calls from everybody, and I'm talking about big artists, big stars, calling me saying, "What are you doing over there? I mean, how do you make it sound like that? What are you using? How are you routing it? What are you doing this?" And I thought the whole time I was the only person in the world that didn't understand this. I didn't know about it. And now all suddenly, and I'm telling you, when I say phone calls, text, emails, social media, asking me to do videos and tutorials and stuff, I became like the, you know, the ultimate authority on webcasting and streaming, and I knew nothing. So it was just, I know it's a long story of what happened, but I just figured out what worked for me, and I shared that information with anybody that that called me. So it seemed like I had a plan right away. I knew what I was doing and all this stuff, and it was really just what it was is that something else kicked into action, that I knew I needed another outlet to perform and connect with my fans and from people all over the world, not knowing when I'll be back on the road. I still don't know when I'll be back on the road. It could be another year. I have no clue. I hope it's not. I have shows that have been postponed to late summer, to the fall, but I don't know. We just don't know.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's so inspiring to hear that as well. I mean, you literally took one day, you know, or even less, you know, to react to the situation. Whereas to be honest, you know, even over here in Asia, I see people still trying to just wait it out. You know, so they're just relaxing.
It's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
I have seen that too, and it's still happening. And you know, we have to come to the conclusion this is not just a face anymore. This is reality, and you know, whenever it's done and over, and we go back to our usual routines, that's great. But I just didn't want to sit here every day at my house going, when is this going to be over? I kind of wanted to take charge. I needed. You know what I did? I needed it for my own mental health, honestly. Yeah.
And it seems like, you're probably the driven type of person that, you know, even in any circumstance, wouldn't be just sitting around lazing by the pool, you know. So I think combine that attitude, you know, with the situation, you know, which for a lot of people, they are, you know, imagine if you're a restaurant owner and you know you have to shut for, you know, do you wait to create a takeout menu, or do you get to it right away? You know, so I think
talking about a restaurant and stuff like that. Is there drinking on your show? Is it okay if I have a
Oh
sip
of course.
Wine? Okay,
I'm having my morning drink.
It's Friday night. Come on.
This is my 8 a.m. drink, which is a milk tea. So very, very different drinks. So yeah, and I know you are.
This is my 8 a.m. drink too. So
wow, I mean, that's awesome.
That's not true, by the way, but okay.
No, yeah, but man, and that's something that I really admired about you. You know, even very, very early on. You know, like, and I knew right from the start. You know, just hearing you play and, you know, seeing your studio, you know, like, you really take pride in it, because a studio could be an audio interface with a USB mic and done.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So that was the other thing. I mean, I am lucky in the sense of the fact that I have the studio at my house. Also, now that I live in a house, I can play at any time. I mean, really, if I had neighbors, I would have to be more considerate that way. But but I don't know if you saw the beginning to now. So it has evolved. You know,
Yeah,
I didn't
for
used to
sure.
have these. I have red blackout curtains in the back. They're like theater curtains. It actually looks there's light coming through, but those lights are actually on the floor coming up. You know, I have other lights in the corners if you can see.
Yeah.
I mean, this may be boring talk, but
No.
I
Yeah.
just we're all here. I'm here. The audience is here. I think it's
Yeah.
important that we give them the experience that was all taken away from me, from them, from everybody. Try to get us close to something that resembles a live show.
Yeah.
And the other thing that sort of landed in my lap, and you know, it's very interesting. The whole streaming. Remember, I came from not understanding what streaming or interfaces or how to incorporate it and
Yeah.
any IT really. I was pretty much hopeless. It was hopeless, right? I had to learn it, and there was nobody I felt I could call. So I just had to figure it out on my own and test. So the other thing that I feel landed in my lap is that, you know, I'm doing shows on a platform called Stage It, which is very different than Facebook Live and very different
Yeah.
from Instagram Live or Twitter, whatever.
Yeah.
In a sense that the owner of Stage It, the creator and owner of Stage It, is a friend of mine that I've been hearing about Stage It for 10 years,
Wow.
but never,
Yeah.
honestly, never paid attention. Never paid. It's like, yeah, I created this online thing, and
Yeah.
you know, he ended up going on to be a manager of actors and movie stars, and he kind of got away. He created it over 10 years ago, and the footprint of the site, the footprint of the whole thing is actually pretty. I don't want to say outdated, but it kind of is outdated. They use Flash. It was something, whatever was happening 10 years ago. That's what it is. He was going to turn it off. He was going to like just, but there was a bunch of artists, like a lot of Nashville singer-songwriters that
Yeah.
wasn't really able to tour and was able to make some money with their fans on Stage It. So he says, you know what, I'm not running it anymore. He had somebody, he hired somebody to run it. They have a couple of guys that does tech stuff and customer service. And he says, I'm just going to leave it up and concentrate on my other businesses, but leave it up and let those people make money. It pays for itself. Basically, he was making no money off the thing. It was just paid for itself. You know, whatever, the three people that was involved in the company, whatever money was generated was paying. But he did it for the artist because he used to be an artist. He was actually, him and his twin brother was had a couple of huge hits back in the early 2000s. So he understood what it was to be an artist and maybe not have an agent or manager. And so he created an online stage called Stage It, so people could make money and connect with their fans without being able to actually go out and fill up venues or wait for a break to open up for somebody or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I've been hearing about it. So when I came home here and sat in my studio and going, your number one priority right now, I mean, besides providing and taking care of my newborn son,
Yeah.
I am so lucky because I have an incredible partner and fiance that is so brilliant and making sure everything is okay. But as far as music and all of that stuff,
Yeah.
my number one priority is to figure out how to incorporate my studio because I had wonderful equipment. I had all, you know, classic, vintage stuff. I mean, my microphone is a Neumann M269 from 1961 or 62. It's very, you know, it's my recording stuff, right? I have Neve preamps, I have Calrec preamps, I have Trident preamps, I got EQs, and I got Eventides, I got, you know, lexicons and all kinds of stuff, right? So it felt like it should be pretty easy to incorporate all this stuff, and then, and so I made it a priority to do so, and I cared a lot. I cared a lot about it, and spent a lot of time. So it's been a progress. It's been progress, you know. Then, well, the lighting didn't look great. I had a white curtain in the back where sun was coming in, and it was counterproductive to the lights. I mean, it was just a whole thing. And now, you know, I'm still learning. You and I talked about that, you know, the other day about upgrading cameras and all kinds of. It's unbelievable what's happening to us. It's like I'm a sax player. I just want to play my sax. Yeah, now we're in audio,
Yeah.
mixing, producing, audio visuals, cameras, frame rates, bit rates. I mean,
Yes.
all of this stuff,
Yes.
I never thought in a million years I would have anything to do with. It just feels like we have to wear all hats.
We
You know?
definitely do. It'd be so crazy. We spoke about this. Imagine if someone heard our conversation, two saxophonists, which we had, earlier in the week, and it's all
Didn't talk
about
one thing
yeah.
about saxophone.
No
Not one
reads,
thing.
no nothing, cameras, capture cards, and but I think that's the amazing thing. If nothing were to come out of this period, which is impossible, but this will be something we take home. Just learning all of this, and I think we're gonna come out of the other side just such a more all-rounded, person, not even just a musician, to know all this. And down the road, would this ever happen again, such an epidemic? Possibly, and I think we'll
Well,
be
yeah,
better
no, I
prepared,
mean, who knows? I mean, look, it doesn't matter who I talk to, whether it's my business to just people or just nobody ever thought that a pandemic as what seemed to be a flu or some type of sickness. I mean, we had SARS and there was that
Yeah.
before. There
Yeah.
was the swine flu. There was,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess but it didn't have this type of
Yeah.
impact.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about an impact to every person in this world, no matter of race, religion,
Yeah.
profession.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable, and it had its world at its knees, and it still, in some ways, does. And I talk to people saying, I could have never called this. I could have
Yeah.
never even imagined. I could imagine a war. I could imagine this. I could imagine
Yeah.
that. But I could have never imagined this. And, it's been a lot of discovering this. It's very interesting. My last album's called Silver Lining. And I find myself using that word a lot because, there's been a lot of silver linings for me in this. I mean, for one thing is like took 2 months off and then I was supposed to go on the road every week.
Yeah.
So how much would I have missed of seeing my son growing up, right?
Yeah.
Time you can't get back.
Yeah.
Connecting with my fans, my audience, on such a deep personal level that I do at my Staged concert. I mean,
Yeah.
if I tell you, it's unbelievable. I mean, the Staged shows, there there's like a message board, a conversation board that people can write on. Even people that can't attend the show can still write on that, but they can't see the show unless they have a ticket. But the community, the connection with the fans, it is so unbelievable and meaningful.
Yeah.
And what I've found is just that people are amazing. Most people are just absolutely amazing, and it's uplifted my soul and just my spirits, because it's like every time I do these shows, the comments, how people talk to each other, how people support each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
I mean, one guy said, hey, I'm watching your show on my 85-inch TV. And somebody said, wait, you can do that? Yeah. Do you have an Apple TV or do you have an HDMI? How do you go? I mean, people sitting doing,
Yeah.
helping each other with
Yeah.
Tech Talk, doing my, show. I mean,
Wow.
and I know it seems so crazy, but it's just, for me, there's just a very, very strong sense of community. And
Yes.
people, I took last Sunday off. I just needed a break. I'd done 8 or 9 shows in a row, and I needed a little break. Plus, Carrie, my fiance, she says, we got to get out of town for just a moment with the family. Just get out of the house, get out a little bit, change the scenery. And so I had people really, I don't want to say being upset, but they were really disappointed because Sundays at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
California time or
Yeah.
Pacific time
Yeah.
had become their favorite time of week, which
Yeah.
has become my favorite time of week.
Yeah.
And it's something that it's like putting on an old sweater or
For sure.
grabbing your favorite drink and sitting back in your chair and something you're looking forward to. When I said I'm going to take next weekend off, people are like, wait, what? Yeah, but that's what we do on Sundays. We have a
Yeah.
thing now. It's a thing.
Man.
We do the thing on. My mom was like, I feel cheated. What?
Oh, man.
And this is
Yeah.
what we do on
Yeah.
Sundays at 5 p.m. And
Yeah.
that's really wonderful. I mean, and I feel that you know, this is what I do on Sunday evenings. This is my way to communicate and connect. And people have asked me to please don't stop doing these shows even after the pandemic is over. I can't do obviously for you know a show every Sunday, but I could maybe do one show a month or maybe two shows a month. And you know what? You know, I've turned my studio into used to be just kind of what you see on the screen right now, but in front of me, obviously, there are stands and cameras, all kinds of different kind of stuff here. And I'm just going to leave it set up, to be honest with you, because I want to do this. I want to continue this even after I go back on the road and tour, because it's become very meaningful to me and very special to me. So that's been sort of the silver lining in all this craziness that is happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, I love those two words, you know, and it's something I'm going to be thinking about down the road as well. You know, how do we constantly look at the silver lining, you know? And just a quick one, if I'm thinking, if you were busy on the road and with the family and I reached out to you, you know, to come on my show, it could have probably be an easier no, you know, because you know, you're not at home as much and the schedule is so crazy, you know, and I just realized we can connect so much better. And even your fans who are your staged show, you know, some may not be able to come down to the cities that you are in, you know, or the countries that you are in.
Right.
So it gives them, you know, if it wasn't for COVID, you may not have done so many live stream shows, and then these people would, they can watch from afar, you know, they can buy your music, but you know, nothing beats that experience.
Well, you know, it's very interesting you say that because of two different things. One of them is the fact that, you know, I usually, when I go out and tour, I usually give an hour, maybe 75 minutes. And I always feel like, well, I'm all touring different markets, so it's not the same people, right? So I gotta get him the hits. I gotta have to give him the, you know, your Twice in a Lifetime, your Show Me, your Pacifica, your Uptown Groove. I mean, I gotta give him what I gotta give him. They came to hear certain things. So besides maybe switching out one or two songs every now and then, or putting something in there. You know, my show kind of stays relatively the same, except, you know, maybe a few songs every now and then maybe every 3 or 4 years I completely revamp the whole show. But with staged shows, I'm able to do a different show every week, and I need to do a different show every week because it's no longer a matter of me going from city to city. I'm worldwide, right? So it could be a lot of the same people tuning in. So with that being said, I have dived into music that I've never played live. I don't even remember it. I have to relearn them. I have to go down and find old DAT tapes to see if I have the instrumental versions of it I can play along with. I'm able to do specialty shows like the next show I'm doing on this Sunday is called The Greatest Hits, which is I take the top of the top, what was the highest hits for me throughout my career. The show after that is going to be called Silver Lining, the music of Silver Lining. So I can concentrate on an album or concentrate on a theme. I've never been able to do that because imagine if I went out and did a show in a city I haven't been to in 5 years and just did one particular record. They were like, come on, play the hits. That's what we came for. So there's been some silver lining, and it's huge learning process for me and sort of a challenge for me. Then there's people's requests, a request show, and they pick stuff. And sometimes they put me to the test. They pick songs that I would never thought they even knew about. A song called Angelina, for one thing. It's like I've never even played. I don't even remember how it goes because after I recorded it, I've never played it live. Never been in my live show. It was never a hit or a single for me. So that has been a lot of fun. And I forgot what the other thing I was going to tell you about, but anyway, so it's kind of been fun to have a different type of outlet to musically, and it's been a challenge for me because every week I come up with a new theme. I have special guests on the show, so I record videos and new songs. I just did another one today for not this Sunday, but for the Sunday after. And I was so inspired because I never played this song live, and to do a duet with the singer on the album, and it's just almost like recreating the magic that we had in the studio. It's very inspiring.
Wow.
So there are lots of silver linings.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, and Michael, I was thinking back. I think this is probably about my 20th episode of my live stream show. You know, and I also try not to repeat songs, but you know, I try to do a broader theme of songs. So from English pop, Chinese pop, straight ahead jazz, smooth jazz, you know, and anything in between. And I went to roughly count. I've done about 300 different songs.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable.
You know,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
sometimes people are challenging me. I mean, they're requesting for a song that I've heard maybe when I was a kid.
right.
You know, but I know.
So how
that
do you
will make
find the? Do you create the backing tracks? For it,
So
or
I
what
actually,
do you do?
for the English songs, I actually use this app called Kara Fun. It's a paid subscription. So basically, and the cool thing I've been doing, you know, just now you saw that I had my picture, you know, so now basically to the viewers, I'm on your bottom left hand corner, you know.
Okay.
So but during my live shows, I'm in the main screen, and using Kara Fun, I'm using my computer to send the lyrics out on the bottom of the screen. So because you know we are instrumentalists, and I really want people to know the lyrics behind the song and follow it, and they can sing along if they choose to. So I use that app Karafan, so it has all the backing tracks in the world, constantly updated from jazz to Broadway to pop, of course.
Incredible.
So as long as it's in there and I roughly know it, I'll pull up the lyrics for the audience and the backing track goes, and I could change keys if I wanted to as well.
Really?
So that's for the all
That's a whole
12
other
keys.
conversation you and I need to have.
Yes, yes. So that's for the English pop stuff. The smooth jazz ones, you know, is either my own tunes or have backing tracks from some other artists as well. And then Chinese pop, I will have to download them individually off YouTube, the karaoke tracks. So yeah, I have a whole hard disk full of songs, and it will never
Do you
end.
know, by the way, do you
Yep.
know that the songbook that I did, it's almost 10 years ago now.
No, actually.
So I actually was approached by another sax player in Germany, who actually his main job was he owned a printing business, and he was a big fan of me, and he said, you know, I'd like to actually produce a songbook with you and print it, and he owned like a super high-end printing facility. I mean, I'm talking about like unbelievable. And so we took 12 of my songs, and they were all songs that had been hits for me. And we transcribed. We had somebody transcribe them, including the songs and the chords, in 3 different keys. I mean, obviously you do it in one key and you can just you know, transpose it. But we had it in C, E flat, B flat. And then on top of that, and this was kind of never done before, because the reason I wanted 3 different keys is like, so okay, so if you play, you know, if you play sax, alto sax, E flat. If you play tenor sax, it's B flat. Trumpet, B flat, right? Piano, I don't know, violins in C, but it was nice to have it for piano too, in case somebody wanted to play it. So we had not only my solos transcribed, but the melodies and all the chords. Then on top of that, we had I tried to get all the original backing tracks. But you know, some of them were owned by me, some of them were not owned by me, and it was too difficult to license all of the backing tracks for these songs. So we had a guy out of Costa Rica that he knew recreate my songs minus me. And let me tell you something. This guy, I was so blown away what he did. I mean, I'm talking about almost identical. Almost identical. So that CD was inserted in the back on the back page. So if you didn't have anybody to play along with, you could just play along with the CD. Then there was pictures and biographical information. It was 155 pages, and I don't know how many copies we have left. You know, you can, but that's actually a great way to get some backing tracks. For smooth jazz tunes. It's just called the Best of Michael Lington, the Songbook. It's available on my website,
Okay.
there's a shop link, and it takes you to where my merchandise company, a merchandise company I work with. I don't sell them personally, but they have all the
Of
copies.
course.
I don't know how many copies there are left. It's only about $30 for the whole thing, including the CD and all the
Wow.
transcriptions. It's
Wow.
about, again, it's like 155 pages. It's a
Wow.
heavy book. It's a lot thick cardboard, very high quality.
Wow.
And he's now he has been out of the printing business for a long
Oh,
time. So once this is gone, this is gone.
man.
You know,
I'm definitely gonna get
I thought that
myself
could be a
one.
cool thing for other
No,
sax players to.
it is. It is.
And one of the cool things that happened with that book was I'm getting emails from educators that actually, a lot of educators. I don't know about so much in the rest of the world, but I would assume it's the same as the U.S. But they teach their students more about traditional jazz improvisation, over changes, etc. But a lot of the young kids, it's a generational thing, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the young kids now, they don't want to hear
Yeah.
about the solo to Donna Lee for Charlie
Yeah.
Parker. They want to hear your Dave Koss solo.
Yeah.
They want to hear your Kirk Whalum, your Gerald Albright, your Michael Lington, they want to hear contemporary stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's what they hear on the radio.
Yeah.
So it's just a pure generational.
Yeah.
So these teachers is like, that's not, because they're older, so they're like, that's really not our thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they found my songbook, and they actually saying, this is all you need to know. Study this book.
Wow.
And that was never the intention of that book. So it's been really amazing. A lot of people commenting and talking about this book in China.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, I was invited for a concert masterclass in China a couple of years ago for a saxophone convention in Shaolin, and they all know about this book. It's really unbelievable. As a matter of fact, I remember a year earlier that I went, or 2 years earlier, I got a call from my buddy Dave Koss when he came back. He says, what is this songbook thing they're talking about? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I went to China to do a thing, and all they're talking about is Michael Lington's songbook. I was like, what?
Wow.
What do you mean? He's like, you got to talk to these people. You got to go over there and do something because they're all they're talking about. I had no clue. I had no idea.
Wow.
So then I started getting, messages from promoters and from other people over there wanting to import it and all of that stuff, But
Wow.
so interesting, So talking about backing tracks, there is a 12 songs right there for contemporary jazz in case anybody's interested.
Yeah, and whoever wants to, go to Michael's website and get it. I'm gonna get one for myself for sure. Because I just never thought that you had any of these tracks and sheets out there.
And those are not the original backing tracks from my albums, but I will tell you something. And I'll be the first, I'm a harsh critic of not only myself, but just in general. I love things to be right and sounding great. This guy, John Odio, I think is his name, if it's pronounced correct, he's also a sax player.
Okay.
Out of Costa Rica.
Wow.
Odio, I don't know, recreated those tracks. And he somehow... I remember the one sound on Twice in a Lifetime. It was kind of a signature kind of sound. And I remember, we're talking 97. These were two different, it was like a DX7 and another keyboard that was put together for, not digitally. There was no such thing as virtual synth or anything like that, or just a sound like that. We created that sound, and it was such a hook for that song. He figured it out. Not asking me, hey, how did you guys create that sound? He just figured out, well, there must be this type of sound and that type of sound. And it's like, it was unbelievable what he did. I was like...
That's amazing.
Pacifica, Two of a Kind, Twice in a Lifetime. I'm still thinking of you. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm going to jump straight in here. I know there are many, many comments on the YouTube channel, but I'm going to get to that very soon. But I saw something. Doron from Israel, he says, Michael, can you play something from Silver Lining? So I'm not sure if you're prepared to do that.
Well,
only if
I'll
want
tell you
to.
what, so I thought about what I'm going to play for you today. I'm not going to play something from Silver Lining because not this Sunday, but the next Sunday on my stage show is. Nobody knows this yet, by the way. You're the first
Wow.
one to know, Daniel.
Wow.
So this is. That's going to be all music from Silver Lining. So I am not. I save it for that. So not this
So
Sunday, but
Doron,
the following Sunday. I
yeah.
think it's June 7th, including an unbelievable duet, brand new. We did a little just working
Wow.
on it today. You know, well, been working on it for a few days, but
Amazing.
we finalized all the stuff today from Silver Lining, and
Nice.
so I'm very excited. So sorry.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
Sorry.
we will keep
But
them.
I got all the music I can play
Yeah,
for you. You
we'll
know?
keep them waiting. So Doron, go check out Michael's Stage It show. And now, Michael, what song would you like to play for us as the first
Well,
song?
there's a song. There's a fun song that you know. I've been very influenced by the Memphis sound, and there's a song that it's off. I believe it's the Second Nature.
Okay.
Second Nature. So not Silver Lining, the one before that, called Memphis Strut. That it's just a lot of fun to play. I'm really actually, you know, getting re-familiar with all of these songs
Yeah.
because this Second Nature came out in 2016. So you know, I worked on this song 2015, a
Yeah.
few years ago, and getting familiar with some of these songs that I've done. I don't want to say forgotten about, but I'm proud of this song actually.
Yeah.
You know, from a songwriting perspective, I don't know. I don't remember how we came up with it, but somehow it happened.
No, we're excited to hear it. You know, I love those albums, and you have such a nice vibe and sound on those, you know, those albums, and we're definitely going to talk about it slightly after this. So yeah, you know, people are excited to hear you play, and we're so glad to be able to have you share, you know, your music, you know, to many parts of the world. So yeah, this is Michael, and I'm gonna leave it to you. I'm gonna get myself off the screen. All right, and here we go. That was just amazing. Memphis Strut, and man, the chat is going wild, you know. Santi saxophone say great playing. KJ say great way to kickstart the day. Drew says loving this Saturday morning vibe. And Doron says Memphis Strut is God for me. So, and he says tell Michael he is the best. Oh man. So it looks like people really, really, really loving the music. And I've been loving, you know, your music for a long, long time. And you know what makes me so glad, you know, is that, you know, I'm scrolling through the chat and no one is, you know, asking what reed is Michael using, you know, what ligature is Michael using. You know, I think there's so much more that, you know, I'm dying to ask and learn from you as well. But maybe I'm gonna jump into some of the questions. And also there are people commenting and says, oh, Adrian from Singapore, he says he has a copy of your book. And he says it was
Ah,
signed by you as well. And I have Kiwai from Malaysia. He says, great, need to get myself a copy before it runs out. And man, this is great. And Adrian says, yeah. Adrian says,
it's sort of so nice to hear. You know,
yeah.
Asia has been really wonderful place for me to go to tour. I've been there many, many times. As a matter of fact, I played in Singapore. I for 3 years
Oh,
went out on tour with Michael Bolton, and we were. I don't remember the venue, but it was a beautiful venue. And then I remember we went across the street, literally across the street, and that was that beautiful hotel with
oh, the Marina Bay
the
Sands.
Sky Bridge
Yeah.
and the whole thing up
Okay.
on top of it. I don't remember,
Ah,
but I wonderful time in Singapore, and of course
wow.
been to Java Jazz Festival many times,
Mm,
performing in Jakarta and Kuala Lumpur, and
mm,
just Asia. You know what's interesting about Asia is I find that they appreciate music on such a deep, deep, deep level. I mean, and artistry and just really always had a wonderful time there. So
wow.
great to hear all of those
That's
comments.
amazing. Yeah, it's really, really great. And, you know, I'm going to jump into a few more specific questions. So we have Brandon here, Brandon from the US. He's asking, Michael, are you still using your iRig for your streams or did you change that setup?
Well, I use different things actually.
Mm,
I have used right now. Actually, I'm using iRig for this particular stream.
mm,
For my stage at shows, I use my Apollo
mm,
Universal Audio Interface. Um, I do these little Facebook, Instagram pop-ins where I use two different iRigs. I use um, because I'm doing them simultaneously, so I don't know that
mm.
you can split one cable going into I don't know. So
Yeah.
I just got two of
Yeah.
them. So everything is a little bit different. So and then I do the videos here and the other recording, and I sort of to reset my studio for recording Pro
Mm,
Tools. So it's all a
mm.
little bit different.
Yeah.
But I found that the iRig has been a great, what a great tool that is. I mean, just in
Mm,
general, just a basic tool to have. As a matter of fact, I ordered a second one,
mm,
and it's been sold out for a long time. So
mm,
I don't know when that will get here, but
mm.
yeah. So
Yeah, and I think it's relatively inexpensive, right? You know?
it's for $100. I
Wow.
mean,
Yeah.
the
It's
fact that
just,
I can incorporate my studio
yeah.
into these streams through
Yeah.
$100 device. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. It should be $500. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that.
No, but it's amazing, you know, that just small purchases like that, you know, could elevate someone's live stream to, you know, to a really
Right,
incredible professional level, you know.
right.
So do check it out if you guys are interested to incorporate your you know whatever existing equipment you have. You know, I think for us musicians we would have mics lying around, some, you know, reverb units or something, you
Yeah.
know, just find a way to get it into your stream rather than, you know, taking your handphone and just playing
Right.
to it, you know. So and Michael is a
Well, I
great
tell you one
example.
thing
Yeah.
though. There's one thing that is not. It's not a secret at all, but
Mm,
it's not. It's not easy to acquire. I got very lucky, but two pieces of equipment that I have, which is extremely crucial to my sound, both
mm,
in record and to what we do right now,
mm,
is this microphone right
mm,
here. It's um, I was able to buy that many years ago when I did my 2003 when I did my Stay With Me album from the producer and engineer that recorded me. As a matter of fact, he had another microphone, an even nicer, if you will, or just a different kind of Telefunken 251, which is unbelievably beautiful microphone. But somebody had actually knocked it over. He'd opened the door, it was in a stand, opened the door, and it went on there and broke. So it was in the shop getting fixed, and he had this Neumann M269, which is basically, it's a 67, but you can change the patterns on the power supply, not on the mic. And it was used a lot in live broadcasting. So back in the 60s, you know, when they were doing a show, right? All suddenly there's many people that needs to talk instead of just one person. You can't have a camera guy run or lighting guy run in the shot and change the pattern. So you can change another. But that I've heard the tube is different. I've heard the capsule is different. I don't know. But he happened to have this microphone. And he says, I'm going to have to use this microphone on you because my other one is in the shop. And I played it. I was like, ooh, I like this. He goes, well, I don't use it. So when I get my other one back, you can buy it from me if you want.
Wow.
So I said, absolutely. And I bought it from him. Now this microphone is over $16,000, you know, just because it's so rare and so sought after. I also have an original Neve preamp, was it 1272? So those two pieces of equipment they do make a difference, because there are times when I've done stuff where I use my pickup mic for stage. I've just tried, because I need to be more mobile. And I can definitely tell that it doesn't have the same richness as that particular setup. So.
I'm going to jump in here. A related question from McCon MD. I hope I'm getting it right. And he says, Michael, the combination of your incredible natural sound and effects is amazing. Could you describe your effects that you use?
You know, let me... there's a little bit of a secret, and the secret is not from me, but the secret is from the engineer Ray Bardani, who mixed my last 3 albums, and so I'll tell you. So I've been a fan of David Sanborn for many years, and if you listen to some of the earlier records, there was a spatial thing that was happening. So you could always hear him at all times, and it always was big, but it wasn't too loud. So I always was wondering what was happening there. How can you get the sound so big without it making too loud? And it was a technique that he had done. So because he mixed those records from 1979 to 1990, he mixed all Sanborn's records, including Luther Vandross records, but that was a different thing. But so he created the sound using certain type of equipment and certain types of setting, and he said he would use it on my records, which he did, but I was sworn to not.
Of course, I
tell
can understand
what it was, but. It just has to do with using spatial kind of effects, but without overusing it. Because if it overuses it, it just sounds not natural. So, you know, so I promised him not to really discuss in detail what it was, because it was kind of a proprietary sound. He created it basically. Wow. By mistake, by the way.
Wow.
Because he just tried, there was some equipment laying around in the studio, and he tried something, and it's kind of like, wow, that's cool. So, but in general, what I can talk about is the fact that, you know, I use a nice reverb is a nice reverb, right? So I have a PCM, Lexicon PCM 70, which is the poor man's nice reverb, if you will. Back from the day was the 4080L, the 480L. It's a big rack thing with a little control service with the sliders. I mean, you know, I'm sure they don't even use that stuff anymore. But the poor man's version of that, if you will, was the PCM 70. So one record unit, very deep, but one record unit. And I bought this one from my buddy Chris Bodie many years ago, and I only use it really for monitoring, and now I use it for my streams. So it's just a nice plate. It's a deep plate, warm plate. I don't know what it's called, but anyway. And I use a little bit depending on what kind of songs. So the more Memphis percussive stuff, I use a little bit of a slap delay. I have TC Electronic, a D, was it D2, something like that, D something. And it's just a slap delay, you know. On other songs like Memphis Strut that I just played right now, I just before the show, I just tapped in the tempo of the song in quarter notes, and I use a one repeat. So because I don't want to bop, 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 you know, I just wanted to bop, bop, you know. So, you know, that's the stuff that I'm using. I mean, it works for me. It may not work for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I use a nice EQ. I use a, that's the other thing, I insert an EQ, which is a beautiful, it's called Calrec. It's 70s, is a British, like Trident or Neve. It's called Calrec. Less famous, I think, is safe to say, but it's a really, really good EQ, very natural sounding. I might invest, all my records for the last 10 years is, because we mixed it at studios, has had the GML, EQ, and I might invest in one of those. They're not cheap, but I might also get one of those. So just a nice Class A reverb. I mean EQ. That's, you know, and then find your tone. Find out what works for you.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much for sharing, sharing that. And I'm sure it's very helpful. And, if I might just chip in, just to share with you guys as well, I got a really good deal because I use all plugins. I don't have any analog gear except my audio interface.
Right.
So if you're a Universal Apollo user, I managed to get the Lexicon 480 plugin for at half price at like $170. So it's now you can't even find it, and it's going to take up so much space. It's probably 5 digits, now definitely above 10 grand. But yeah, if you guys are interested, lexicons, all the classics, I think plugins could be a way to go. I'm not starting a debate on which is better, but since someone's asking about reverbs, if you want plugins and you want the classic stuff, I think Universal Audio replicates a lot of the classic equipment. I'm using the Neve. I think it's a 1073 as well, and it's like less than $100. I think I paid for it, and man, so yeah, just if you guys are interested in this technical stuff, you can go check it out. And let me check, let me see what others. Oh man, Doron from Israel says he has all of Michael's CDs and books and his saxophone 82Z and his mouthpiece. Wow. So Doron is definitely a big fan of Michael, and that's amazing. Wow, that's great. And I think that brings up another point also. If you like, a certain player, I think transcribing that player, of course, it doesn't mean that, everyone who plays, a Dukov or a Selma like David Sanborn will instantly sound like him, But it seems like Doron, you definitely done your homework, playing along to Michael. So that only could have done you a lot of good. So really nice to see that in the comments. Nathan is asking, can you also describe the approach to your natural sound? Any influences, and what do you think about developing your sound? I know you're very, very passionate about this topic as well. So maybe you can, if you'd like to answer some of that.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is transcribe and emulate your 10 or 20 favorite saxophonists, and then take the best or the stuff that fits you the best from them and create your own sound with that. It's okay to borrow little phrases and things like that from some of the people that you love. But you can't just do it from one person. You have to do it from a bunch of them. Otherwise, you'll just emulate and sound like one person, and you don't want that. That there is already that person. You don't want to sound like somebody else. You want to resemble little bits and pieces, from different people, different artists. One of the most important things, I think, I don't know, did we talk about that the other day? But I think we did because of the educational thing.
Yeah.
But is tone development, For me, it's all about tone, and then the rest is icing, if you will, because you can learn how to play fast, you can learn how to play high, you can learn how to play loud, you can learn how to solo like a crazy person over changes, you can do all of that stuff. But if you don't have a great tone, I don't believe that any of that really matters. That's just my personal opinion. And tone, by the way, is subjective.
Yeah.
It's subjective. So there's no right or wrong tone, you know.
Yeah.
So there, it's kind of funny. I won't get into too much specifics, but there are certain records, mostly pop records or R&B records, where there's a sax solo. Well, I don't particularly care for this. There may be a solo in there, or maybe an intro or some fills. Where I was like, yeah, I don't really love the guy's tone, but I do love the part in the song. And it was like, it doesn't bother me as much because it's like, it's the part itself has become second nature to the song, and it's like you expect it, and it's okay, you know.
Yeah.
But for a soloist, I think your tone is really, and this also in a way your identity, I think, you know. So that stuff is just it's unfortunately there's no shortcut. It's boring exercises, you know, a lot of long tones, a lot of scales, a lot of intervals, mostly just really long tones, and in many different forms. I'm thinking about creating an online course, as we talked about, where I will go into some of the exercises and how to develop that, because it has to be about strength and control of your embouchure. That's really where I think it comes from. Being comfortable and just strength and control.
Nice, you know. So Nathan, I hope that answered your question. And yes, you know, we are talking about, you know, the idea of, you know, having Michael do a, you know, a masterclass series, you know, online masterclass. And, you know, I think there'll be so much we can learn from you, you know, because, you know, previously I don't think, you know, that information would be out in public easily, you know. So yeah, we go with the times, and maybe that will be something that Michael can put out. So before I forget, you know, if, you know, there might be some of you who are here who are new to his music, you know, please go to his website. You can purchase his merchandise, his music, and even his book. So, but please don't get it before I get my hands on one. So I'm gonna go in right after this to get my copy. And, you know, and follow Michael on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and yeah, I'm sure you can find his music very easily. And Michael, I just wanted to jump in here. You actually have a new tune that is out on radio right now.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, would you
It's
like to
called
talk a bit?
Funk, and it's featuring Ray Parker, one of the greatest guitar players, who most people know from singing the theme song
Yeah.
to Ghostbusters, but he's
Yeah.
actually an incredible guitar player and songwriter. He was one of the most used session musicians all the way from the early '70s, and yeah, he's also one of my dear friends. It's called Funk, and it's from Silver Lining. So yeah, check that out. So I don't have too much time,
Yes.
so we should, I don't know if you want to play your songs, but I
Yeah.
would love to just remind your viewers
Yeah, of
about this Sunday show on stageit.com,
Yes.
and it's at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, so California time, which must be 8 a.m.
Yes, it is. It is.
Singapore,
I've got
on
my
Sunday.
ticket. I've got my ticket, so I'll be waking
Great.
up early. Yeah, but
The
yeah,
way
do
Stage
share.
It works is you got to go to stageit.com to sign up for a free account, and you just have to create a screen name, basically. And then you have to get a ticket to the show. My tickets are pay what you want. You can pay $1, you can pay $5, and you can pay $1,000 if you really feel like it, but certainly not necessary. And this upcoming show is called The Greatest Hits, so I'm going to take as much time as I'm allocated in the show. I'm going to take it to play some of my biggest hits. But you know, I want to do something for you and your
of
viewers
course.
right now. So even though that I can't really talk about this specific effect setup, I'm going to play something. I'm going to do a test. I've never done this before.
Wow.
So I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to mute. I'm going to mute. Well, I'll play something for you right now. First here, just a cappella.
Okay.
So this has my effect chain as you hear it on a song, untouched. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute parts of it so you can hear with that special sauce, if you will.
Wow.
Is, yeah.
Wow.
I've never done this before.
Thank you for doing this. Yeah, it's amazing.
Let's see. Right? So that's the sax by itself with all the stuff on it. Now, I'm going to do something for you right now. I'm going to take away the delay and the reverb, and I'm going to turn up the special sauce.
Wow. Wow.
How about that?
That is really amazing and really cool. Man, thank you so much for doing that. We definitely didn't plan for this. And, of course, there's some, tricks of the trade, that Michael has, But, I think the other thing that is so amazing that maybe wasn't intentional was that I'm sure you guys, as the viewers, you could hear that even without reverb and delay, man, that core tone and playing, you can't run away from that. Michael's not hiding behind the reverb or the delay, and it sounds so good still. So that might be even the bigger take home for me, as a player, and hope you guys could hear that as well. Even without reverb, Michael sounds amazing. So I think that tone production, the stuff that you've been working on for so many years, I think that is way more important. And then the reverb and the delay is that icing on the cake, as you've mentioned before. So man, now all the more, I hope you guys are excited to, possibly have Michael, doing a masterclass and sharing all these things that could help us, improve as a player. And for sure, you guys can, the good thing about YouTube is you can repeat that part of the clip, 1,000 times and try to figure out how much reverb.
There's some people that I'm going to drive absolutely nuts with this.
No, but it's so amazing, and I think that shows so much about you as well. You didn't have to do that. And I think for a lot of players, watching, and I think today's show has been, a lot of saxophonists. Wow, and it's crazy. And someone just actually before you did that, I think he says, could you quickly play dry with no special sauce to compare? I don't know, Michael, did you see that? Are you on the
I did
chat?
not. I am actually,
Wow.
I don't know where it would look because I'm just looking on our thing. So,
wow.
yeah.
So that's quite amazing.
Well, there was a little bit of
actually.
secret sauce in that last,
yeah.
the thing I did.
And I
but,
didn't even realize that someone actually asked for that. And I mean, it's amazing. And thank you so much for
course.
doing that. And hopefully you guys will learn a lot, and have learned from Michael. I have many more questions, but we don't want to hold up Michael's family time, and we definitely love to have you back down the road, and there's so much to discuss and talk about. And Michael, do you have time to end off with one more song?
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm just gonna play it. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been my pleasure.
Man,
I actually look forward to coming and hanging with you in person at sometime. Maybe do a concert in Singapore. How great would that be?
That would be amazing. Thank you so much, for making this happen. And do get your tickets for his staged show at 5 p.m. on Sunday Pacific time. In Asia, it's 8 a.m. So you sleep early, it's going to be worth it. And, I don't think there are many tickets left. The last time I checked, there's probably 5 or 6 tickets left.
Sure,
so.
and what's going to happen is it may be sold out at this point, but I am going to add for your audience, as soon as we're done here, I'll be adding some more tickets. So
That's amazing.
because I don't want to sit and talk about it and then not having any tickets available.
Of course, of
I'll
course.
work with Stage on adding some tickets immediately.
Amazing.
So as soon as we're done.
And I'm going
so-
to be adding the link for you guys in the YouTube comments as well, so you can click on it right away after this show and purchase your tickets. And I'm gonna do that right now. And then, so Michael, what song would you like to close us out with?
I'm going to do a song that from my A Song for You album. It's a little bit of a different. You hear me being a lot of force and aggressive and percussive and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a little bit of a different side of me,
Yeah.
which is a song from a very beautiful record called A Song for You that features all songs from singer-songwriters. And this is
Wow.
a James Taylor classic called You've Got a Friend.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Here we go.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that. I didn't even knew you were gonna do that song, and that's actually one of my favorite songs on that album that you've done. It's
Thank
just
you.
so amazing, and thank you for closing out the show with that. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you once again for being here.
Thank you.
And I've actually left the link to Michael's Staged Show in the YouTube comments. So guys, please click on it, check out his show Sunday night 5 p.m. Pacific time. I think it's going to be amazing. I'm excited, looking forward to it, and we hope to have Michael back on the show again down the road. So thank you so much for catching me. If it's evening for you, enjoy the rest of your night. For those in Asia, you have a full Saturday to go, and hope you will enjoy it. And those of you who are in Asia, I'm doing my own show at 8 p.m. tonight and I'm actually doing a Mendo pop night. So all Mandarin songs, instrumental. So hope to see you guys there. If you're new to my channel, do subscribe. And if not, I will see you soon. Thank you.